Okay, sit yourself onto your lift. Just come into a good cross-legged position. And then find your balance. Just level yourself out. Just feel that you can find balance and levelness underneath the seat bones. Just have a little wiggle about. Make sure that you're feeling even. Very organised this morning. Just closing down all the other things on my computer. So don't get to sit with some levelness. Just have a little wiggle about, and then hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears, and look down at the floor. Look at something that isn't moving. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations, deliberate exhalations. Just allowing your brain to draw its focus into the breath. Bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together. Lengthen from the armpits into the elbows into the heels of the hands into the fingertips. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Maintain focus on the inhalation and exhalation. Observing how the inhalation makes the chest raise upwards and outwards. How it permits space to create itself around the chest. Aim to breathe evenly into both lungs and evenly out of both lungs. Focusing on how the breath brings you into the present moment. Gently draw your chin down to meet the chest. spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Hold onto your knees, elevate the heart area upwards, maintain that focus on the breath, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears, and then draw your chin down to meet the chest. Just feeling that stretch at the back of your neck, accentuating it by drawing the shoulders down further away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation, and on the exhalation, raise your chin up to the ceiling, stretching out the front of the neck. Take a deep inhalation, and then with the exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Drawing the shoulders down away from your ears. And as you exhale, draw the chin back up to the ceiling, stretching the front of the neck intensely. And then come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation through the nose, and then right ear to right shoulder, but keeping the right shoulder down so that you feel a stretch along the left side of the neck. And take an inhalation. On the exhalation, come back to the center and over to the left. So when we hold stress, we often hold it around the neck and the shoulders. This is a good way to just reduce those sensations of tension. Take a deep inhalation, come back to the center, and then right ear to right shoulder, lengthening that left side of the neck away. And then back to the center, and then left ear to left shoulder, lengthening out that right side of the neck. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the heart area, elevating the heart to the ceiling. Take a deep inhalation. And then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders. Using the out breath to intensify the turn, using the in breath to bring energy into the body. And then coming back to the center and turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center, come off your lift, and then sit back on your heels. But make sure, if you can, you've got space on either side of you. And then just sit back on your heels. Just make sure that your shins make good contact with the floor. Just have a little wriggle into the inner heels so that the inner heels roll out slightly. Press the shins into the floor. Lift up into the chest, elevating that heart area up to the ceiling, and then come forwards, hinging at the hips, stretching away, keeping the seat bones down on the heels as you extend into the arms, into the shoulders, and then bring the forehead down. Turn the tailbone down towards the heels. See if you can maintain that connection between the seat bones and the heels. Use a folded blanket or a block if you can't. So the action of drawing that tailbone down really opens up in the lumbar spine. Lengthen from the hips into the armpits, from the armpits into the elbows, the wrists, the palms of the hands. Just breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations. Lift your head, keep your right hand where it is, thread your left arm underneath the right armpit, bringing the shoulder down as much as you can. Just rest your head down. You won't probably be able to keep the seat bones down, but try. Keep that right arm in Virasana as we were doing, and then activate the left arm, really extend from the shoulder into the fingertips, press the left arm really firmly into the floor, and roll your chest down to the floor. So it opens up the inner shoulder blades. The more you activate that arm, pressing that left arm firmly into the floor, the more you get effect from the pose. And then release that left arm. Sit back into Adho Mukha Virasana for a moment, just stretching out the back, stretching out the spine, drawing the tailbone down to the heels. And then this time lift your head, leave your left hand where it is, thread the right arm underneath, as far away as you can, underneath that left armpit. Keep the shoulder down if you can. If you can't, don't worry. Have your head down if you can. Try and draw the tailbone down to the floor, and then activate those arms like you're still in Virasana. You kind of are still in Virasana. So you lengthen into that left arm, really spread the palm. Activate that right arm and roll the chest down to the floor. Just easing out the tension from your back. So if you are having a tricky time, a challenging time of stress and difficult situations, then you tend to hold a lot of that stress in the shoulders and in the neck. So we're just stretching it out. And then keep your left hand where it is and then stretch your right arm away. Again, pressing the palms into the floor, sitting down onto the heels and then bringing the head down. Again, see if there's any difference in your ability to keep the seat bones down on the heels. Lengthen from the hips into the armpits, into the wrists, into the palms. Breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations. And then lift your head. Bring your fingertips onto, bring your hands onto the fingertips, lifting up into the chest. And we're going to walk our hands over to the right side. So as you do, again, the seat bones will probably lift a little, but try and draw them down and really deeply extend into the arms like you're still doing Virasana. Lengthen particularly into that left arm. So really reach into that left arm. So you stretch out that left side. So it's a little bit like that supta stretch. Breathe evenly and deeply, keeping the chest just looking directly down at the floor, just allowing those side ribs to open, those muscles to stretch out. And then just walk your hands back to the center, just sit yourself back down on the heels and then walk your hands over to the left. Again, just stretching evenly into both arms, trying to keep the seat bones down, but even if they lift, and work deeply into that right arm and into the left, but you'll feel the stretch on the right side. Breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations. Okay, walk your hands back and then just come back into Adho Mukha Virasana. Maybe this becomes a little easier. Press the forehead firmly into the floor. And then release your arms. Just let your arms rest at the sides of your legs. In child's pose. So it applies more firm pressure onto your forehead. If it feels too firm, then consciously lengthen from the shoulders into the fingertips. And then push your hands into the floor and then sit yourself just back up on your seat bones. Just observe the energy around the neck and the shoulders and around the back chest. So all the places where you tend to hold your tension. And back onto your hands, turn your toes under and then lift yourself up into dog down. Let your head hang down. Spread the toes. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards so that the backs of the thighs broaden outwards so that you can pick up the seat bones. Straightening the legs by tightening the kneecaps, activating the thigh muscles. The fronts of the thighs pressing into the backs of the thighs. be inside the pose, just aiming for balance of action. So you have to draw your observation into the physical body, ensuring that the left side and the right side are working evenly. There's even action between the arms and the legs, the arms and the spine and the legs. The breath and the mind are connected so that the mind can draw itself into the physical body. And then just step your feet forwards. Just come up into a standing position. Bring your feet as wide apart as your mat. Your toes turning inwards so that the outside edge of your feet line up precisely with your mat. If you've got back problems, then do half uttanasana with hands on the blocks, keeping the legs straight, keeping the chest extending away. Otherwise, raise your arms, hook your thumbs into the crease of the elbows, and then hinge at the hips. Come forwards and hang down. So breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations. Just listening to the breath as it enters and as it exits. Activating the legs with intensity. Lifting the kneecaps. Lifting the thigh muscles up into the hip socket. Just again observing whether that activation is even on both legs. It rarely is. So just observe which of the legs is the more eager and get the less eager side to mirror the more eager side. So the head and the chest hang down. But the more you activate the legs, the more you can release in the spine. If you're doing half uttanasana, then extend consciously into the spine rather than let it be passive like it is in full uttanasana, or it can be in full uttanasana. Okay, release your hands down to the floor, bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees all the way up if you need to, and then come up into hadasana, just lifting up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears, activating your legs, tailbone, stretching from the hips into the armpits, shoulders into the fingertips. Spreading the fingers, spreading the palms. Stretch your arms out in front. Really spread the palms, drawing your consciousness into each individual finger so that you draw your feeling into the fingers. Turn the palms all the way out, stretch your arms away, lengthen into your arms, bring the fingertips together behind you, and then walk your hands up your back for namaskarasana. So bringing the hands up as high as the neck, the fingers reaching towards the neck, and then wing the elbows towards the back of the room, and then squeeze the elbows into the heels of the hands so that the heels of the hands and the palms press together. Winging the elbows behind you, lifting up into the chest. Long, slow, deep deliberate breaths. And then release your arms, release the fingertips, and then stretch your arms up to the ceiling, gathering the shoulder blades together, turning the palms to face the front. Breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. And then stretch your arms out in front again. Interlock the fingers right into the webbing of the hands. Turn the palms all the way out. And then raise your arms over your head for baddangulyasana. Keeping the shoulder blades gathering together so that the chest remains open and lifted. Squeezing the outer elbows inwards, pushing the palms of the hands up towards the ceiling. Tucking the tailbone in, drawing the belly button towards the spine to protect the lumbar. And then release your arms. Just swap the interlock of your fingers, turn palms all the way out, and then raising your arms over your head. As you inhale, feel that you can broaden the diaphragm region. And then release your arms and then come back into hastasana. So get a belt. Not sure what wearing belts, I think I'll lift it downstairs. So get a belt and put it over your right shoulder and then lift up into the chest for gomukhasana. Stretch the left arm out in front. Stretch into the fingertips of that right hand. Really broadening your consciousness into each individual finger. Drawing your consciousness into each individual toe. All without looking. Just drawing your focus into the fingers, into the feeling of the fingers, and into the toes. Turn the palm of that left hand all the way out. Reach behind you. Keep the arm high. Reach as high as you can as you bend that elbow and then assist that arm up towards your neck. Fingers up towards the neck. And then raise your arm up to the ceiling, your right arm up to the ceiling, and then reach down and then see if you can get hold. If you can't get hold, then use the belt, get hold of the belt. So pulling the top elbow up to the ceiling, the bottom elbow down to the floor. Lifting from the armpit into the elbow, from the shoulder into the elbow of that bottom arm. Take deep inhalations, trying to prise the arms away from each other. Just listen to the breath. And then raise your top arm. And then release the bottom arm. Lift up into the chest. Reactivating the legs, fingers, the toes. Just feeling the energy around the shoulders. And then stretch your right hand out, extending your consciousness into each individual finger, both hands, and each individual toe. Turn the right hand all the way out. Keep it high as you reach behind you, extending that arm away, bend the elbow, and then assist. Arm up your back. So you've got the belt over the other shoulder, so I forgot to mention that. And then reach up, and then see if you can take hold of it again. If you can't take hold, then use the belt. Prising the elbows away from each other, tucking the tailbone in, drawing the belly button towards the spine. Lengthening the elbows apart. Breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. And then release that top arm, release the bottom arm, and then just bring the arms back into Tadasana. Turning the palms all the way out, lifting the chest, elevating the heart area to the ceiling. Bring your arms out nice and wide, in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet apart. Go as wide as you can with your legs. Prasarita, padottanasana. So if you can, it's always a good idea to bring your heels in line with the back edge of your mat. Turn your toes inwards. Have your hands on your hips and lift up into the heart area. Activating the legs and then hinging at the hips, feeling the backs of the legs open up, and then reach down to the floor. Use blocks underneath your hands if you can't reach. So try not to let all of your weight collapse into your hands. Draw your legs back so that your weight goes into your heels. Lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling. Project the chin and the chest forwards. Breathe even deep inhalations, exhalations. Be on fingertips. Fingers pointing forwards. Turn the crease of the elbows to face the front. So we're working to project the chest forwards, lifting the abdomen away from the legs, the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin, lifting the seat bones up to the ceiling at the same time. And then if you can bring your head down to the floor, or you can use blocks under your head if your head doesn't reach. Bring the heels of your hands in line with the heels of the feet. Fingers still pointing forwards. Heels of the hands down this time. Bending the elbows into right angles that are parallel to each other. Just breathing evenly in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Keeping the legs firmly activated, keeping the weight in your legs away from your head. Shouldn't be bringing weight onto your head at this stage. Listen to the breath as it moves into the lungs, filling the bottom of the lungs all the way up to the top. Okay, and then walk your hands forwards, come back up into the halfway point. Bring your palms down onto the floor, bend your knees, and then inch or jump your feet back together, and then come back up into Tadasana. So be in Tadasana, and then raise your arms to the ceiling in urdvha hastasana. Breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations, listening to the breath. Filling the body with good energy. Raising your chest to the skies. Keeping your arms either parallel or slightly wider apart. Okay, release the arms down. And then get yourself a bolster. And we're going to come into supta baddangulyasana. Now, sometimes it's nice in supta baddangulyasana to give yourself a little bit of a slope. So perhaps you might just want to put a block, maybe a couple of blocks underneath the head end of your bolster, and then have a folded blanket to support your head. Just come down onto your seat bones and then pull your feet in towards you. So we're going to go into supta baddangulyasana. And then just lengthen the spine along the bolster, bringing your head down onto the lift. And then turn your palms consciously to face up to the ceiling. So if this feels too tight in your lumbar, then just adjust until it's more comfortable. If there's stiffness in your hips, then put some blocks underneath your thighs. Otherwise, just find your position. So again, this helps to really open up the chest. The little ramp underneath your back just gives a little more distance between your shoulders and your the elbows and the floor. And it allows you to open the chest more efficiently. Just close your eyes and just focus on your breath. Just that evenness of the in-breath into both lungs, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. And emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. So focus on the breath, but feel how the pelvic region is opened up. How there is a lift underneath the small of the back so that the abdominal region broadens, the diaphragm region opens up, the chest, the collarbone area broadens. So you bring energy into the upper body. And we just focus on the breath, because the in-breath brings in positive energy from the universe. When we inhale, we bring in oxygen to the body. That oxygen seeps through the lining of the lungs and into the blood, and then the heart pumps that fully oxygenated blood around the body into every living cell. But when we breathe more consciously, we tend to breathe more deeply. And then the body ingests more oxygen from each inhalation and exhalation. So we're just going to do a little bit of Viloma pranayama, just the first stage, just the interrupted in-breath. So it's normal exhalations, and then you breathe in a little, and then you stop, and then you breathe in a little more, and then you stop, you breathe in a little more, and then you stop, until the lung, and you carry on that way until the lungs are empty. The best way to think about this is breathing from the perineum, which is at the base of the pelvic floor. Breathe from the pelvic floor up to the collarbone with the in-breath, and from the collarbone down to the perineum or the pelvic floor with the out-breath. So just take a few normal inhalations and exhalations from the perineum to the collarbone. And the collarbone to the perineum. And then after the next inhalation, take a normal exhalation. And then on the next exhalation, we're just going to walk up a ladder, stopping on every rung of the ladder until the lungs are full. So you take a little incremental inhalation, stop at that rung of the ladder just for a second or two, never longer. And then more inhalation up to the next step of the ladder. And hold briefly for a second or two, never longer. And then you continue that way until the lungs are full. So just a couple of rounds of Viloma pranayama. So we begin with an out breath. And then cycles of interrupted in breath. Remembering that the out breaths are just normal exhalations. So that moment of hold should never be intense. It should never be a grip. It's merely a suspension of the breath. The out breath is normal. Okay, and then just bring the breath back to a normal rhythm. There's normal in breaths, normal out breaths. When your breath has recovered, just push your elbows and your hands into the floor, and then bring yourself up into a seated position, and then just sitting cross legs for a moment. Just lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, drawing the abdomen across, just observing the energy you released around the spine. And then come back to the center. Just raise your head, your chest, come to the left side, just rotating around to the left, just again observing the energy in the chest and in the arms and in the legs and in the fingers and in the toes and in the head. And then come back to the center. Just come down onto the floor. You can use the bolster underneath your knees if you want to. Have a blanket underneath your head, and then just allow yourself to come down into a really good straight line right down the center of your mat. Palms away from the body a little, palms facing upwards. Allowing the body to release into the floor. Just normal breathing. Normal inhalations, normal exhalations, allowing the body to consciously release into the floor. Let the arms and the legs completely release into the floor, unhooking the muscles so that the body becomes heavy on the ground. And then observe that feeling of energetic lightness that radiates from bones and into the muscles, into the organs, into the abdomen, to the flesh, and into the skin. Using your in-breath and out-breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness down into the tips of the toes, into the tips of the fingers, up into the top of the head. Filling your body with positive lightness, positive energy to put into your day. Just charging yourself up with positive energy. Bringing that positive energy up into the top of the skull. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster, have the knees together, feet apart. And then draw your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle, almost indulgent massage on your spine. And then gently roll over to your right side. And then stretch out the top leg, come back up into seated position, just a final cross legs with your hands in Namaste, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose, down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends, and twists, and the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. Just drawing your breath into your abdomen to help identify your energy. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. Index finger in contact with the thumb, the tip of the index finger and the tip of the thumb, and then lengthen the middle finger, the ring finger, the little finger away. Just a gesture of peacefulness that we can take into our everyday life. And then as you raise your head, just allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy. You've given yourself good, positive energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.